Thank you. Thanks for coming out this afternoon. It's wonderful to see a couple of faces that have already been to some of the talks, so I'll try to throw some new stuff for you guys so you don't get bored. And I'd love to do as much Q&A tonight as possible. I think feedback from the audience and answering questions is pretty much the most interesting thing when you do this stuff. I always find it interesting when I hear about book tours where people sit down and actually read from the book. I'm like, why? That's weird. You're going to read it anyway. I'll actually try to keep this a little bit tighter than I have been keeping these talks because I think it allows for more Q&A, and I hope this audience is interested in that. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm very excited about this book. I found out a little while ago that this book is also going to make the New York Times bestseller list, so that will happen on the 27th.
Awesome. Awesome.
Congratulations. Wow.
It's number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list, so that's exciting. Good number. Obviously, if you know anything about me, you know that pisses me off. I'm going to kill that bitch, Susie Orman.
It's hysterical.
So, it is what it is. I'm very excited about it. And I think this book actually has more legs than my last book, Crush It. Because I think it's a bigger thought. It's been funny, I've been reading, I got 2 negative reviews on Amazon last night, and I responded to them. And they said that they didn't, it's really interesting actually. I've been giving a lot of thought. How many of you guys saw what Facebook did by creating a comments plugin, where now if you go on blogs, it's actually going to be your Facebook account. And so when you comment, it's your real identity. How many of you caught that? Raise your hand, I'm just curious. I think this is a very interesting phenomenon because looking at the people that have given me, it's been really fascinating to me, the 3 negative reviews I got on Amazon so far, and I've looked deeper into them, and it's been like, really kind of like spammy characters, right? People that like sell infomercial type kind of products, and I was like wrapping my head around why would they not like it as much as Crush It. I think Crush It was kind of step by step a little bit, right? It's like start a blog, do this. Even though most of the negative reviews about Crush It it wasn't detailed enough. Meanwhile, this book, I have 4 case studies. I used a lot more data to back up, and it's a much bigger thought of, and I actually thought it was much more detailed. And so to see the 3 negative reviews of like, it's not as detailed, this is a more why instead of how book than Crush It. So it's like, it's really starting to learn like the whole you can't please everybody kind of game, right? Yeah. It's fascinating. So I'm going to write a book with 19,000 pages for my third book.
Nice.
And nobody any room for negative reviews. It's funny, those negative reviews, and something I think about a lot in the new thank you economy is that I'm really lucky. My mom instilled an enormous amount of self-esteem in me, and I have tremendously thick skin. It's actually quite shocking how much I care about what people say and how much I don't care. I actually have a major contradiction in my body, and I actually think that's how most businesses have to operate going forward. I think it's imperative to listen. You know how a lot of people started saying, like, the customer is now in control? I've heard a lot of things like, the customer now has the voice, or the customer now tells you what your brand is because consumers' voices have exploded. I actually disagree with that as much as I love the consumer. I think you have to know what you are. I think you have to know what your product or your business or your service delivers. And so I think it's imperative to listen to your customer and never listen to your customer. And I think it's a very interesting balance, right? You want to take feedback. I also just retired from Wine Library TV last week. So I ended the show at episode 1000, and I started something new called Daily Grape. So I'm in episode 4, and I'm getting obviously a lot of feedback, because when you start something new, everybody likes to add their 2 cents, even though the show's pretty much the same thing, except it's a little bit tighter, and it's heavily mobile. How many people here have an iPhone? Raise your hand. I just want to save you guys some time. If you're going to want a book sign or a picture, you're going to have to show me the Daily Grape app on your iPhone, so you might as well start downloading it right now. Otherwise, I refuse to sign or take pictures.
That's awesome.
I'm hustling, got to make it happen. Anyway, it's funny, back to that Daily Grape thing, and something I believe very much in the thank you economy is that we are living in the most transparent society that we've ever lived in. And I've been talking to a lot of the startups that have been pitching me their startups because I do a lot of angel investing, and I keep asking them, what problem are you solving? Because I think it's very important to solve problems because those are products that tend to do well. Google's $1 billion company because it solved a problem. It helps you find stuff. And so, and I kind of looked at myself and said, wait a minute, what is Wine Library TV doing? Yes, it's solving an entertainment problem, but in this world where there's so much content being produced, entertainment might not be enough. And the reason I created Daily Grape is that now you can watch my show mobily. You can add wines while you're watching the show to your wish list, and you can walk into a wine bar and say, do you have this? Or a shop. And eventually I'm going to use push notification. You're going to walk into a store, and it's going to look at the data that the store provides versus what you have in your wish list, and it will push text you saying 3 of the wines you're looking for are in this store.
That's great.
So, useful, right? I wanted to make my content useful. So anyway, what is the thank you economy? My last book, Crush It. How many people here bought Crush It? Raise your hand. Okay, the rest of you need to leave. My thought is, of the half of the people in here who bought Crush It, that half of those people bought Crush It because they felt they had to. I almost called my new book, not the Thank You Economy, I almost called it Guilt Marketing.
That's hysterical.
Crush It was a very big success out of nowhere for the publishing world. It sold a lot of copies, and at the time, in 2008, 2009, most social media books were failing. And continue to fail. Most social media books actually don't really sell all that well. Most books don't sell all that well. And people were asking me, why did it sell so well? And I kept saying all these different stories and different answers, and I was doing interviews and hundreds of different responses, and then finally I gave a response to Business Week that really stuck with me, like the thank you economy. And she paused and she said, what does that mean? I said, well, I have given forward so much to my community. I've pumped out 700 shows of Wine Library TV for free. I've answered tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of emails ranging from what wine goes with pigeon to how do I start my blog. I've responded to 95% of the tweets that have been sent my way, commented on the Facebook status comments on my fan page, and just fundamentally have given, have never been in a place where I stand up and give a talk and then say, buy my DVD in the back room for $1,000. That bull crap, right? I've just continued to give and give and give. And ultimately, when I actually finally asked for some sort of monetizing play, it was only a $20 item, and my fan base felt like they needed to buy it to thank me for everything I've done. I actually view business very much like parenting. I find it fascinating when parents, all of a sudden when their kid's 17 and they got drunk or did something crazy, look at each other and go, we got to nip this in the bud. No, you don't. It's too late. You needed to parent along the way. A lot of parents wake up when their kids are 16 and say, what happened? What happened is you didn't parent, or you didn't parent properly. I view that with business today as well. I actually view the thank you economy as a very interesting thing. This whole social media revolution is very fascinating to me because I believe that if you are not doing the right things for your customers, your end users today, you're going to wake up in 5 years, and here's where it gets scary, my friends, and this is why I'm very passionate about what I'm going to talk to you about today. Unlike every other media platform before us, money caught up. Let me explain. I used to buy the word wine on Google AdWords. How many people here buy Google AdWords for their business or their company does? Raise their hand, just curious. Not a whole lot, but I'll take it. I used to buy the word wine for 5 cents. Before it was even a 10-cent minimum. When Google literally we used Google AdWords like the first week it came out. And I was picking up customers. People were searching wine. I was the only advertiser, and we were converting, and it was huge. Now Wine.com buys that word for $9. They've been able to use money to catch up. The people that didn't believe in television back in the day, in the first couple of years when they still felt the radio was the play, they just spent money on it. Ford caught up to Chrysler because they just threw a lot of money at it and they caught up. You can catch up. You can buy banner ads. You can buy lists. You can buy billboards. You can just throw money at it and you would catch up because everything up until today has been push marketing. Everything that we've ever seen from marketing a business has been push. Radio, television, heck, you want to go old school? Smoke signals? Push. They're pushing a message from the clouds. We're pushing messages from the clouds now too on the internet. Radio and billboards and direct mail and email services and everything that you've ever seen in marketing has been push. Every business has been in the business of talking. And for the first time, because of the maturity of the internet, we are all in the business of listening. And let me tell you something right now. As you know, because you've got friends that call you with every problem, every time they break up with their boyfriend, or every time their kid gets out of control. You've got friends that know how to talk. And then you have one or two really special friends who know how to listen. And I guarantee if somebody said, you're on a boat